Welcome everybody to a brand new podcast all on concealed carry. We're going to talk about appendix carry today, outside the waistband, inside the waistband. We're going to talk about small to back. We're going to talk about shoulder carry, and we're also going to talk about cargo pant carry. Oh, don't forget ankle. So make sure you put in your questions today. We're going to teach you the latest and greatest and the do's and don'ts and the pros and cons of every one. Let's start with ankle. For real, come on guys. You think a bad guy's going to wait for you to crouch down and grab your concealed carry firearm from your ankle? How is that even practical? Next, let's go to the appendix carry. I hope you don't fall and roll over and punch your own self in the liver with it. Let's go to small back. What if you get shoved up against the wall and that hits you in the spine?
Aaron, I have a caller on line one. It says here he has a question about appendix carry. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
Yes, when I have appendix carrying, how do I get the firearm out of my appendix?
Yes, well, the appendix is a pouch, and it was believed not to have been a necessary organ. Now we believe it is like kind of the vessel of bacteria, the good bacteria. So to plant it in there would be surgical, but to get it out would be surgical. So we actually don't advise that anymore. That was real popular, but now they just put it where the appendix would be inside the waistband, kind of to the front, to the side. So I hope that answers your question.
Not in my appendix.
No, do not have your firearms inserted into your appendix, sir.
Excellent. Aaron, I have a caller here on line 3. Quick question about the middle back carry. Sir, you ready?
What's his name?
His name is Tall Hairy Man.
All right, Tall Hairy Man, you are online. What is your question?
Excellent, Aaron. I just had a quick question. What about large back carry? I don't have a small of the back. Everywhere is a large.
Yeah, so,
I need a large of the back.
What you got to do is you got to get your pants oversized, 2 sizes too big, so it could fit in there, inside the waistband.
He's already hung up. He's left us. Apparently, he was very disgruntled about his large pants.
Well, we're getting just so much negative stuff on this now. I think we should scratch this one and go back to our old one.
Our old one what?
Our old podcast, the topic.
I don't know. We got 2 callers right away on
All
the
right,
first
fine.
podcast.
Let's I know.
I got another caller on line 9 over here. His name's Mike.
Mike,
you got a
how
question?
Can I help you?
Yeah, I got a question on safety culture. I thought that's what this podcast was about. We're
Mike,
talking
you called
about
it the
handcuff.
wrong podcast.
Yeah, wrong number, but that's probably
we should probably go into
third time's a charm.
I suppose.
Let's switch it.
That's fair.
Okay. All right. So if you're listening today about all things concealed carry,
then you've tuned into the wrong podcast.
we're gonna switch it up to one that is better.
So what is this podcast?
This is on all things safety, how not to die at work, everything considered an occupational health or safety issue. That's what we talk about.
What's the name of this podcast?
The name is Evil Safety Dudes. And you guys heard Mr. Mike. He's actually not a caller in today. He is our guest speaker.
He's a walker in.
Mr. Mike Maas. Welcome to the
Mike.
show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate the invite and excited to take part in this podcast.
Heck yeah, man.
All right, before I introduce you, I would like you to guess why our name is called the Evil Safety Dudes. We ask that. It's a common question we ask to our guest hosts.
You're like Dr. Evil, you're diabolical, and you guys get involved with, go out on job sites and create evil havoc.
I think that's the perception. But
quite honestly.
Being how long you been in safety?
Oh, over 20 years.
Wow.
All right, in your 20 years, has employees ever viewed you as the evil safety guy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a rite of passage.
You think they ever just look at you and be like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Here comes Mike.
The safety teddy bear showed up.
So,
right.
I'm so happy safety is going to watch us do our job today.
You haven't arrived unless you've actually, been on a job site and being accused of being evil. So.
Yeah. Okay, so you get it. Because a lot of people don't. They're like, Aaron, I don't get it. Why are you evil? I'm like, well, we're not evil. It's what people perceive us as.
Yeah.
And we just go with it. We know we're not. We know we're there to save lives.
Well,
save those people's lives. It's not my life. I'm not doing the job.
Right?
But they still view us as a bad guy sometimes.
We're always the evil safety dudes.
But little do they know that you care.
Yeah.
So you go out and you observe them and you approach them and be like, hey, bud, what's going on?
Yeah.
You're doing some great stuff here, but you're not tied off. You're 30 feet up. What's up?
Yeah. AJ, help me with the introduction. Now, I know Mr. Mike Maas, besides 20 years as an evil safety dude, He also got a CSP.
A certified safety professional.
Oh, you even know what it
That's
means.
the big one, man.
I can never remember.
CSP is one of the big ones.
Yeah. What
He
else?
also
though?
has a master's degree
What?
in safety.
That's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
he's
that's
worthy.
intense.
That's crazy.
I think, yeah.
He's worthy.
At
All
that
right,
point.
cool. He's
I think
worthy.
he's good to go.
He's a legit evil safety
He's a
dude.
legit evil safety dude.
He's got the experience and the credentials. Okay,
He's
cool.
probably been yelled at more than us.
Oh, I'm the poster boy for anybody can get a master's degree. All right, come on now. I think I was in college for like 8 years.
There you go.
Nice. So our topic today, we've never done one on this subject.
I don't think so. Not
The whole
specifically.
podcast on the subject.
Right.
We've referenced this topic on many of them.
Oh, yeah.
But the culture of safety, that's like a really big deal. I remember 10 years ago, it was the buzz trend. Safety culture, safety culture, safety culture. You know? It was like, the thing to, like, fatigued worker was a couple years ago. That was the new thing in safety. Safety culture, people were starting to figure out, like, wait a second, this matters. And a lot of people have an effect on it. And so I'm excited to do just a full podcast on just this topic. And we got Mike here, which is great because we'll pick his brain because he's seen, I'm sure, some good cultures.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've seen some bad cultures.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And probably everywhere in between, you've seen what affects them, what makes them better. So we're not just going to talk about what is a safety culture, but how to get one and then how to maintain it. First off the bat, have you ever worked in any place that did a behavioral-based safety approach to stuff?
Yeah, I've been in a couple organizations kind of early on in my career. Worked for a mechanical contractor, and I think it was Fullman Kinetics.
Okay.
And I was out on the East Coast. They were working out at Intel, and actually Intel made all the subcontractors do behavior-based safety.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of you were forced.
Nice.
I've never
I haven't
seen
seen
that
that
before.
one yet. Yeah.
Nice. That's
If
cool.
you're going to work for us, this is the program you're doing. And they'd
do it.
actually train kind of the site leads,
Wow.
the safety leads.
Did
and
you
then
have to
hit
buy
all the-
software?
Nope. It was
Okay.
all kind of paper-based. I mean, we're
Okay.
talking,
All
this
right.
is new right out of college for me,
Okay.
19 years ago.
Okay, cool.
Oh, man.
And so, but, Intel's a whole nother bear in itself, but they were kind of leading the trend on the behavior-based safety, and they really
Nice.
gravitated towards that. So it was pretty neat early on.
Yeah.
But, I got spoiled as a safety guy right out of college. I'm like, man, this is like safety utopia. I mean, you're
Right.
working at Intel then. But, from a behavior-based safety standpoint, it was great, having that dialogue with the employees. And everybody knew when they were on site that a safety person was going to come up and talk to them. And so
Nice.
it was clear. And so if you got any flack from them or they weren't receptive, there was kind of some ramifications. So,
Nice.
back there in the early days, I was pretty spoiled.
Right.
I can see that.
Now, on
That's kinda
behavior-based safety, I've worked with one client. They had to do it on site, and it wasn't going so hot. Everybody had to fill out observation cards every day on each other.
Every day?
Every day.
Oof.
Every employee had to fill out I had to observe you work, and then next day, since I did you, I'm going to observe you. And
Oh, man.
yeah, and it just became like rat on your buddy, like
And that's never good.
yeah,
I mean,
or
especially
people
every
just
day, though.
pencil whipped them.
Yeah.
But I've seen them done right, where what the principle was let's take what's traditionally a safety person's job and put it on everybody. Was that kind of going on at that Intel job? Like, what safety responsibilities did everybody have? Was it just talking to you once a day, or did they have to do stuff themselves?
No, and it was everybody from the foreman all the way up. You had to do 10 a week.
Oh.
And actually write them down.
more than one
They had
a
a
day.
card, and then you had to turn them in. They turn them into the safety leads for the contractors.
Okay.
And they kind of tally them. And granted, you'd get a certain segment of them potentially pencil whipped. But then you
Right.
could also identify some trends though too. So
Nice.
they kind of spread the love around and had that expectation for everybody.
Cool. So though you were having regular employees function in safety.
Yeah, absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's and that was great. There's still obviously tons of challenges out there, but just having that dialogue and focus every day on the behavior-based safety, kind of helps partner with kind of the culture attitude, though, too, of, everybody's in it together, everybody's working together, we're talking about safety, we're coaching safety.
Right.
And those behavior observations, too, they really stressed, positive observations, too. Everybody gets so caught up on the negative that, we got to highlight the positive, too. And so it took some challenging to kind of reprogram some of the people that would come in and they're new to the site. It's like, hey, we're just not out running around, hiding around the corner, gotcha type of deal. And then everybody get mad at you.
Evil safety
dudes, exactly. First, you got to flash your badge. And but then you had to actually highlight the good stuff.
Right.
And I think that was kind of the fun part is, hey, this is great. And I think that helped me early on in my career is, hey, you're just not going out and hammering people.
Right.
You want to go out and, hey, great job, and rip off 2 or 3 things that they're doing great. And then, follow up with then, hey, man, but you need to do this and that.
Right. Yeah, positive reinforcement, improvement, positive reinforcement. It's a good skill. So let's try to define safety culture because, some people might be like, what are we talking about? So and it doesn't have to be any type of certain textbook. Could be terribly paraphrased because I'll botch one too. But, what would you say safety culture is?
I think just, working each and every day, thinking about, executing and doing it right. Yeah. And that was kind of a term stole from my CF days, but do it right. And whether that's, anything from mopping the floor to, working maintenance to running a plant to doing wastewater, just do it right.
Right.
And, how do you go about doing that? And, there's a delicate balance there of doing it right. But there's also going to come a time and place where some tough decisions are going to have to be made during the operations of the facilities, wherever you're at, of is this fit with our culture or our attitudes of safety, of doing it right, making sure we're doing safely. And, sometimes that's where organizations run into kind of pitfalls because they'll talk a lot of the right things, but something late on a night shift, 2 a.m, make a tough call, and, they just hope to, peel the Band-Aid and just keep going and hope nothing happens.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Those
I
are
like
always
that.
sketchy.
Yeah, exactly.
Culture, is like what's normal, and then you put safety in there. Is safety normal? Is safety abnormal?
I think most of the time people are used to production being the normal, like make it now,
Production
get
first,
it fast.
cut corners, take
Safety,
shortcuts.
I don't feel like safety's the norm for a lot of places.
But if safety's normal, if safety's everyday average normal, safety procedures being followed, PPE worn, we're going to call that a good safety culture. Do you feel that's an okay assessment, or
I think that's more of like a like a middle of the range, a mid-level safety program or safety culture. There's some beyond that where people are going above and beyond and really pushing and always challenging the processes or procedures to continuously improve and make them better. Mm-hmm. But not everybody wants that. They don't. Right. I mean, you hear the word world-class safety. I mean, that's great. Let's be world-class. But in the end, there's just a lot of organizations like, we just want to be good. I mean, we want to we want to have the right programs in place. We want to train people. We want to be safe. There's that. I think that mid-level, especially around here in the Midwest, where the organizations are a little bit smaller. Yeah. I think there's that balance of they care about their employees, they care about the workers, they want to do right, but we don't want to get too crazy on the other end too.
Right. And that's the phrase I hear a lot.
And that's where you have the tug of war of culture and the actual organization too.
And production.
Right.
Yeah.
And then how would you define a bad safety culture?
Ooh.
Well, hang on. Let me qualify
that's
that.
That's an evil question.
So, we are the evil safety dudes. So, bad as in, Mike, I'm going to throw 2 different ones at you.
Okay.
I want you to hopefully answer bad as in the absence of a safety culture.
Okay.
But then also bad as in a culture that promotes anti-safety.
Anti-manner
we've had
safety.
to deal with both.
That's crazy, yeah.
So, if you could just bounce off both of those.
Okay.
When you hear either one of those types of cultures, what do you think of?
Wow. Having dealt with some contractors, over my years, I spent quite a bit of time in construction and also in manufacturing. Yeah, there's some that just don't care, and they know
Right.
they're low bid or they're low, but you know what? That fits the attitude of the organization that's hiring them, and they're like, well, we can hold all these other companies to a higher standard, but hey, you know what? Joe Blow, concrete worker guy, well, let's get him in here. He's cheap and gets it done quick. So, and
that'll put us back on track.
Yeah, and so it's tough because, you know, those organizations, and you know, they just have a certain attitude about them and don't care, and you know, they're always giving you a hard time, and it's like, you know, why do we engage those? And that also helps erode the safety culture of your company.
Right.
When you're
Yeah,
bringing
for
them
sure.
in and you're trying to hold somebody accountable.
100%.
Nope. Well, let's put a blind eye to these guys.
Yep.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
seen it happen many times, even with general contractors. I've seen general contractors be so hard on their subs to follow these insane safety rules, but then let their own people break them all.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
totally.
and you talk about eroding the culture. You get everybody to a certain level. It's normal now, and then all of a sudden, these guys aren't even wearing hard hats, and nobody's even saying anything. And then there starts to get people upset, and it's just one bad apple.
Yeah, and it triggers down to, especially if it's on a construction site, you know, you have that, then it trickles down into just the whole attitude and how they execute work, and the big thing is having, you guys know on construction sites is just having the dialogue of what's going on each and every day, and if they're having that tug of war not on the same page, things aren't going to go as smoothly, and things aren't going to get done as you'd hoped. But then I've had exposures with worked with other. Been exposed to other companies, I think they want to do the right thing, and I mean they do pretty good work, but continuously reactive. And so if something happens, then we got to do this, and then they throw everything at it, and then they're not doing anything proactive or more forward thinking. It's more of a reactive approach.
Oh yeah.
And those two groups kind of get mixed in together because they're kind of one and the same to me.
I just got an idea from you talking on a bad safety culture example.
Talk to
where
me.
they have an injury and don't even react.
Oh yeah.
Because most people that I'm used to working with, there's a few proactive, but most are reactive.
Right.
Safety is whatever, and then there's an incident, and just like you said, then everyone goes to a high level. But at least they went to the high level.
Yeah.
So maybe not a great safety culture, but it's a culture where safety is there. It's like an answer to an accident.
Yeah.
Let's get safe all the time. But I would say a bad safety culture is, PD over there, smashes his foot and there's no reaction. They're like, oh, let's just keep going.
When's he coming back?
Oh, that's
I
just-
don't know.
that's
He'll be
just
back.
PD.
Oh, he's
That
fine.
that would be a bad safety culture.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Now we're beaten to death poor construction, but we can't leave general industry out of this one.
Yeah, you're right.
Because think about some of the examples I've heard just from around, and I'm sure you've actually got to deal with this firsthand. If you have any good stories, it'd be great, or just if you could talk on it. But that one employee, maybe. So, like in construction, maybe it could be a contractor getting away with stuff, but in the general industry, it could be that one employee, maybe the guy that won't wear gloves.
Yep.
I mean, he won't wear his safety glasses or his hard hat, or he won't do something right. He won't close his guards, or he won't shut his machine off. But he's also like one of the best producers.
Oh,
He's
totally.
always early. He trains everybody to go fast like him.
Absolutely.
But he's the problem. Now, can you speak on that a little? Why that guy? Like, he might be the best guy you got, but he won't follow safety. And he's right. Why is that
totally.
guy a problem?
Well, that guy first has probably been there 20 years.
Right.
And he's like buddies with all the other leaders on site or a
Right.
handful. And, kind of has, carte blanche to do whatever. It's like, and when you engage him, that person, or you bring up a concern about him, they're like, oh, that's just Mark. That's just the way he is. Don't worry about it. He does a great job. And that's kind of rewarding that cowboy person, that cowboy attitude of, I'm going to do whatever I want when I want, and I'm going to take this chance when I want. I'm not going to lock it out. I don't need that. I've been doing this for 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And that's what you hear.
Yes, exactly. And, there's plenty of those people in, everywhere I've been. There's been a handful. And those are the people that kind of get a pass, and they erode at the culture where you may have a really good culture of a good segments of it or pockets of it. But, or it's holding them back from kind of taking that next level because they know that, they got these people here and there. And so it's that constant rewarding of, the cowboy. And that's what it makes it challenging.
And sorry, go ahead.
I've gotten that question before on how do we fix that guy?
Let him retire.
Yeah.
It's always like, oh, he's going to retire in a couple of years. Let's not cause any
let him
problems.
retire. I heard a safety person say, this is what they do. And I like it. I'm like, I'm stealing that because I'm evil. No, they said, this is what we do. We'd say, hey, look, let's just make up a name, Pete. I know you're awesome at this job. I know you've done it forever. I know you're really good and fast at it. I know you're not following any of these procedures. But I need you to, not for you, because you're super great, but for all the guys watching you. Because they're watching you on how to do it. And when they see you do it wrong, they think they can, but they don't have your experience. Right. They're going to cut their hand off. So, Pete, can you please follow these procedures? Not for you, but for them. And I was like, wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Some Pete's out there like, well, screw them. I don't care about
those
them.
guys.
But some Pete's out there be like, that could affect them. Like, oh, everybody's watching me. I know I'm great and I can do it, but they can't do it that good.
Right. I might be able to help.
And it's actually kind of my fault why they get their hand cut off because they were actually watching me.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, I like that one.
That's a pretty good approach. And, my approach, and I don't know if it's been successful or not, is, after I've been somewhere for a while and noticed who they are, is, kind of tailor my approach. And there'll be times I won't even bring up safety to them. Right. But, unless it's glaring and they're doing it right in front of me,
right?
Be more like, we'll just get together and BS and try to, develop a relationship.
Sure.
And then try to wear them down. Then you throw something like that at them, and then every time you see them, you point them and you give them a little wink and stuff like that, and that goes pretty well. But there's some of these guys that are just so gruff and growly. They're just like, forget you. I'm going to do whatever I want.
Right.
Well, one of the hardest things to drive home is their arguments. They're right. I've been doing this job 20 years this way. I've never gotten hurt. Well, that's true. If I put those gloves on, I'm going to go slower. That's also probably true. Like, they're going to have all these things that they want to throw in against safety, and they're right. And I like your guys' approaches of finding other ways where it's still the correct way to do it.
Yeah.
They're right. You can still argue with them, though.
Well, yeah. That's why they've got it.
I mean, I've been doing it this way for 20 years. My argument is, all right, well, you're due. There's this thing called the law of averages.
Yeah.
Yep. It's on its way.
You're going to roll snake eyes. You haven't, and you've been cleaning it out, playing craps, but you're going to roll snake eyes. I mean, it's like playing them slots, man. They haven't popped, and someone's been playing them all day.
It's coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of averages, and
what's interesting is those guys are the same group of people that kind of stir things up. Yep. They're the first ones to point out in procedures. Oh, and they're the first ones to start the fire in the dumpster, and then they run out of the building, and then they leave you to manage the fire. And those are the same kind of group of guys, and it's tough. And it gets really tough too, especially when you start talking about places that have monthly production numbers they got to hit.
Right. Well, for sure.
And downtime, and then their incentives, your payout, are based on that.
Yep.
And so, I kind of see it's tough because I see the operator production side of it. Hey, I'm a safety guy. I mean, I want the company to make money. I want us to do well. I want us to produce. I mean, it pays my bills too. But they get so focused on production that they just kind of forget that and don't tell me how to do it, and you're going to cost us downtime or, all the other excuses as a safety professional you've run into.
I just thought of a funny another way. Maybe we could get them on board.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
So you have Pete help you because you said they were the first to point out issues in the procedure,
Usually.
So like have Pete help you make, say it was a machine-specific lockout takeout procedure. You have Pete help you make it. Okay, if he's appropriate, if he knows that machine. Then you name it after him.
Pete.
The Pete procedure.
Pete procedure.
And then when he won't even do it right,
That's evil.
But also he has ownership. Like, hey, are you, Pete, you give him ownership. Like, Pete helped write this.
I like that.
And then if he's not going to follow his own procedure,
well,
he's
imagine that
weird.
authority he now has. Are you not following the Pete procedure?
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah. Who the hell's
Yeah.
Pete? I'm Pete.
I'm Pete.
Right? Or if you go far enough into, all right, Pete, you're having trouble wearing gloves for this. You and I are going to sit down. We're going to fill out the JHA for this. We're going to come up with all the PPE required for this. We're gonna call it the Pete's PPE list.
I'm coming to you, Pete, because you're the expert. You've
You're
been
the
running this
expert.
machine 20 years. I want you to tell me every hazard with operating this, and then help me come up with an abatement issue.
and we're not gonna.
And it's going to be the rule.
And he's
we're
going
not
to say,
gonna come up
screw
with all
you,
the
I'm not
ones
doing
that-
any of that.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah. Well, we're buying lunch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it can't be safety unless there's lunch involved, right?
Yeah.
Or a
You get to
snack
do
or
this for the
something.
whole afternoon instead of standing on the
Exactly.
plant floor.
I wanted to talk about the money side because I think that is a very effective way. And we're still talking about that difficult person that's eroding your culture.
Yep.
So you kept mentioning, production and bonuses and incentives. If everything is geared towards that, safety is in the trash. If everyone who's highlighted, employee of the week, employee of the year, they get the cool parking spot. If everybody who's highlighted is highlighted for speed and production, safety is not even on anybody's radar.
Nope.
No.
So one of the things that I think would be helpful if companies, gave kudos not just off production, but on safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe this one guy who's only been there 10 years and he's not as fast as Pete. He doesn't produce as fast as Pete. He has a little bit more waste than Pete, but he always does it right. He gets all the accolades. And then a guy like Pete go, what? I'm better him.
Yeah.
And he
Yep.
goes, AJ, what's the deal? I'm better than him, and you know it. No, we changed the grading criteria. Production and loss and all that's only part of it. Safety's a big part of it. And
Yep.
He
you
follows
got
the
a
rules.
lot. I'm trying to be nice, and you got a long way to go on that.
Yeah.
Right. Or
and
if
then
it's just
Pete
something as
goes,
simple like,
"Oh,
yeah, you got to wear your gear.
yeah, if I
Yeah.
want to be back on top
Yeah.
as the alpha male in this place, I need to get good with safety. And maybe the ego, by highlighting the guy that they're better at,
Yep.
that ego then makes him be safe all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. That's a good idea. The challenge you run into is just that senior leadership, and whether it's
Sure.
the head GM and
Right.
are they willing to kind of put their neck out, stick their neck out, and want to be. It depends on the culture and the
Yeah.
environment you're at. And I worked a handful of years ago with a great company in town, and there was they had a handful of individuals that were challenging on the safety side, but they were some of the best producers that they had, and so it was almost like, well, kind of visit with them and make sure they're doing everything right and safe, but we're not going to push. Don't push it too
Right.
hard on them. You got to, because there are producers, and when you start talking smaller companies, you got to, I'm trying to balance that. It's like, well,
Yeah, they feel like
I'm worried about so and so. Well, we got
Yeah.
to be careful. He's one of our best, and we don't
Exactly.
want to chase him off.
We're
and
lucky to have it.
We're lucky to have him, and we're not going to find anybody else and stuff like that. And I think that combination, along with the challenging work, the working pool in kind of
Yes.
the tri-state area to get
sure.
someone hired,
Yeah.
there's kind of that balance of, all right, we need to be delicate. We need to balance, safety and what we're doing, our services that we provide. But we can't be hurting ourselves, can't be shooting ourselves in the foot. And I think as a safety professional, like yourselves, you guys recognize that too. You're not out to get people's jobs, you're not out to run people off, and
Right.
cause the business harm. It's just like, hey man, there's some basics we need to be doing, and they're putting more of the company in exposure than just trying to convey that. And for the most part, the companies and the leadership or the ownership that I've dealt with are pretty good about that. But you do run into a couple. It's like, don't care, don't stay away from them.
Yeah.
Just let them work and make our money, and they kind of have kind of a pass.
That's risky.
I was at a safety conference years ago, and it was being led by OSHA. This one breakout session that I was in, and I posed this question to the OSHA guy. I go, "What should we do with this foreman? He won't follow the rules, so his guys don't follow it because he doesn't follow it himself and he doesn't enforce it.
Sure.
His crew is the best money earner, the best producers, so he's untouchable. The owners won't touch him. What should the company do?" And I should have expected an OSHA guy to say this, but he said, "Fire him."
Yeah.
And he didn't consider anything you just said. But I posed a lot of that, I was like, well, you do realize he's the best earner and blah, blah, blah.
Right, he's important.
But the OSHA guy had a really good point. He said, look, man, it's called short-term pain, long-term gain.
I agree
Yeah,
with
it's
that.
gonna suck short-term. Finding a replacement, building somebody up to his level. But if you consider all the OSHA violations, injuries, premiums,
Yeah.
EMR rates, all the culture erosion, everything he's actually going to do, it outweighs whatever good he's doing.
Yeah.
Just get rid of him. And I was like, wow, it wasn't the answer I was looking for. You know, I wanted some kind of super sweet magic voodoo,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, a magic wand that I could go, bam, bibbity boppity boop, and the guy's safe all of a sudden.
Well,
Nope, he's like, can him.
It's
Yeah.
that dangerous thing, though, when you start talking about like a foreman level and he's got people underneath him.
Yeah.
When he's the person in charge and that's his attitude,
Yeah.
oh, man, that just poisons the people right
Oh,
underneath him.
exactly.
And then now not only do you got him, but you got a whole crew, and maybe you break them out and they go somewhere else in your company after this job's done.
Exactly.
Now you got 4 other crews sitting with that guy's same attitude.
And to see, and they didn't have an employee of the month at that company,
Right?
but the best earner got the best truck. And anytime they got new trucks, so he's rolling around in the newest, best
So he always
truck.
had.
So
Always.
everybody's looking like that's the guy I want to be.
So there's like a status symbol.
and safety is not even what I need to do to get there.
Right.
It was a bad deal. It got so bad. I'm doing a new hire orientation, and I'm like, "What crew you going to?" And they tell me this guy's crew. I'm like, "Oh
no.
It got so bad. I was like,
It's almost a waste of time.
all right. Well, this company, the crazy thing is they did a 16-hour orientation.
Oh my gosh.
2 full days of safety orientation. Now, there was some HR and stuff mixed in there, but it was majority
Mostly
safety. Yeah.
Holy
2
man.
days.
Yeah, and
straight.
I had to do it.
Oh,
And
jeez.
yeah. So it got so bad, I got to the point where I was like, listen, you know all this safety stuff I'm teaching you?
Yeah.
You're going to get out in the field, and they're probably not going to do any of it. But when I come and do an inspection, I'm going to still bust you for not doing it.
Yeah.
I already know that the foreman's not, but I need you to do it anyway because it's the company
That's
rule.
tough.
But what a sucky thing to have to tell someone. Oh, so you let this guy get away with it, and you bet you're going to bust me? You know?
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
And no.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that makes it tough for, from a safety professional standpoint, really challenges you and, what you're doing and are you providing value. It's almost like the company or organization likes the idea of safety and doing
Right,
orientations.
right.
They kind of just want to go through the motions
Yeah, yeah.
just so they can say, oh, we've got a safety program.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
kind of hang on the wall.
Check the boxes on Ice Net World or whatever.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when they get their insurance renewal, oh yeah, we do this, this, and this. But in the end, when the rubber meets the road, in the end they're going to have the EMR rating that they have, and they're going to have the incidents that they have, and so. But
and then they're going to say safety doesn't work.
yeah, exactly. They're like,
Yeah.
hey,
We've been
we've
doing
been
it.
we've been having Mike in for 2 years. We haven't done
Yeah.
anything. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I can get you so far, but
Yeah.
then there's an element of you got to take the baton and kind of help
You
me
gotta
go
enforce
to.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, mind if I go ahead and
Go for
switch our gears on the whole thing? So the first whole half, we've spent time talking about what makes a safety culture bad, or what
Yep.
ruins your safety culture. I want to talk to you about, in your experience, your 20 years of putting this out, what are some safety cultures or some safety programs that worked?
Yeah, and I think from organizations that I've been to, and have really taken kind of the culture and kind of helped elevate it and kind of maintain it.
Yeah.
What I've noticed is that it's not you've had some places where, all right, you're going to start off every meeting with a safety topic. It's like, well, you got like 3 meetings in a day. Well, we're going to have one each day. It's like, or each meeting is like, no. You're
overdoing it.
You're overdoing it. Let's, have your, usually it's been like a manufacturing organization where, like in the morning we have the the roundup, what's going on today, and they'll actually spend time, talking about things that impact. From the last couple of days that were regard to safety and things that apply. And then they actually have dialogue about that. Some places just print off a toolbox talk and whip through that.
Sure.
Where I've found organizations, they actually talk about whether it's an event or improvements or identifying things, or just talking about a job or a project coming on in the next couple of days, is just having that dialogue that applies to what's going on each and every day.
Relevant.
And what's relevant. And I think that's kind of one thing I've noticed is that places that have a pretty good culture, they focus on what's relevant, and it keeps people engaged and thinking and talking. Whereas some places that don't, they're just, printing things off the internet. Here's
Okay.
a toolbox talk.
Yeah.
And it's not really engaging people.
Right.
And it kind of loses its, impact
Yeah,
right
for
away.
sure.
Here's just a generic 5 minutes on why you wear hearing protection. Okay, go to work.
It's 90 degrees and 80% humidity in the summer.
Yeah.
What's our toolbox talk today? Cold weather, safety.
Yeah. Cold weather safety. Why you wear gloves in February?
And
AJ,
everyone's
it's
like-
August. Yeah, whatever.
It's just it's in our rotation.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I'm just trying to think what else kind of, works is, you talk about different groups and different crews and, trying to get it broken down into their level and what's affecting them each day. To get that level, you got to have some pretty good leadership that's going to buy into the safety and the focus and maybe have those conversations. No, it's not safe. We need to, shut that part of the plant down because we had a couple operators calling sick, and we can't have people running the plant because
Right.
they're not trained on it.
Yeah.
Aaron and I have talked frequently about leadership needs to be
Yeah.
your top involvement in safety. You don't have
absolutely.
leaders in it. The guys underneath them,
Exactly, and that's where I've noticed the biggest successes where I've been is the GMs are just passionate, and they really value the safety end of it, and they understand that if you take care of the safety side of it, production and everything else is going to fall right in line. And the few places I've been to, it's been evident that they have a safe operation. They're not rushing into things. They're kind of taking a step back before they dive into something critical and talking it through, making sure everybody's on the same page. And you work through those challenges, but the safety is there, but then so is the production and maintenance and costs and everything else. They all kind of go hand in hand. So the shotgun approach that some organizations have,
just
obviously
kind of everything at once.
yeah, everything at once. Just, this is down, right? Let's just shut it down, or let's go
This-
after this. Let's fix this.
Right.
It's like, no, let's take a step back, and those conversations you need to have don't take long, and it kind of calms everybody down. So, but yeah, like we said, the leadership is key. The leadership is key, whether it's the supervisor, the foreman, the plant manager. They all kind of have to have, some type of ownership and want into it.
Sure.
All right, so I just hashed an evil safety plan
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
to take over the world
Evil
for safety.
plan.
Evil
All
safety.
right, so here's the evil safety plan. All of us safety people train someone really good to do our job. And then we get some extra credentials because we're studious people, we're safety people, we're always learning in GM, in management. And then we take over all the management positions as safety people.
Oh, boy.
And then the apprentice takes the safety person role, and then every GM will be totally up on safety, and then all the plants will be safe.
That is evil. That is evil. That is evil. That is a plan.
Yeah, well, the evil part is we have to do a lot of kidnapping to all the current GMs.
Yeah. I was thinking how
and-
difficult it's going to be for all of us to clone ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Like
Yeah.
each of us needs to train a replacement.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, well, it's a 5-year plan.
It's a 5-year plan.
It's a 5-year
you go.
plan.
You got plenty
Yeah,
of
yeah.
time to execute it. Jeez, yeah.
Pretty evil.
But no, serious. I mean, because I agree with you top down. I mean, if the top is like super passionate about safety, they're going to push it down to however the hierarchy goes, superintendent, project management, foreman, lead man,
Yep.
whatever, line supervisor, all the way down to the end user employee. Like, it's got to be in every single level, but the top has to push it, else nobody's going to get involved. If a middleman's pushing it, they only have so big of a sphere of influence. But if it comes from the top down, but
Exactly.
you know as well as I know, not every GM is that passionate.
Exactly.
And you may have the GM that's not passionate, and you got to fight them just to buy PPE, or
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why we got to do the
Got to
evil
do the
plan.
evil plan.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys are the professionals on this one. I personally have never gotten to work with a behavior-based safety or BBS program. I just haven't been in a company that's doing it ever before yet, but both of you have. In your guys' experience, does it work? Is it always a plus? Like, because I'm
I've
sure
seen it done right and done wrong.
So it's something. So it is.
I've seen the $10,000 software where if the cards are being turned in, the injuries are low. When the cards don't get turned in, the injuries are up. I've seen it work, and then I've seen it where it's just rat on your buddy.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, and I get torn, just having been exposed to BBS, and I think BBS is just a tagline. I mean, it's a good one, but it has a good meaning behind it, and what you're trying to do is get people engaged. But it kind of ties into safety culture. What's your culture? I mean, so the last like you said, in the last 5 years, 10 years, safety culture has been kind of the buzz, and hey, everybody's kind of been pimping that. Well, then before that, it was BBS, behavior-based safety.
Pimpin'
Yeah, pimping.
Yeah, nice.
I think pimpin's that's the first
Evil
one.
safety dudes, dropping
Evil
pimping on
safety
you.
pimpin'.
So, but it's just kind of the flavor.
Yeah.
I think the BBS is basically just promoting dialogue, and it's making people talk when otherwise they wouldn't. And
Asking them to pay attention.
Yeah, just go talk to people. And
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest aspects from a safety professional is just going out and talking to people. And I think just developing those relationships and having them realize you're there to help. But that BBS helps, whether it's the project engineer, the foreman. And so promoting that dialogue is a good thing. And so, I'm kind of torn on it. I did it at Intel, and it worked pretty well, and did it over at Anderson Windows and Doors. It worked pretty well, but that was over 10 years ago, and that was kind of right around the heyday when it was coming out. So,
Right.
Yeah, but in the end, I think the big thing is talking and caring and developing those relationships with your key leaders. You don't need that $10,000 program, $20,000 program,
Right.
And if you can just be a good person and just show them that you care. And granted, you're going to get a certain percentage that are going to hop on board and be with it, but you're going to have your naysayers too. And comes a point where you just keep trying to wear them down and get buy-in. But there's some you just never do.
Have either of you ever worked with the ISO programs?
Like ISO 9001 and stuff.
Yeah, like all those different. I know there's different numbers. There's different.
I love
variations.
all the ones that have the safety in them because they want to get that accreditation for a business monetary purpose.
Right, because there's like.
So
the
then now
employees
they're
are
more
involved.
motivated to not really to have a good safety culture, but to check those boxes.
Yep.
To pass that accreditation. So, I like it because it gets them to move forward on safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to if it's implemented correctly, just like both of you already mentioned. I mean,
Right.
you could do it right, you could do it wrong. But have either of you ever worked with the ISO programs? I've seen them, I've read about them. I haven't worked hand in hand
I'm
with
sure
a company that has one.
a lot of our clients are ISO accredited, and you're doing training out there. So you're in
I
ISO
probably
accredited
know.
facilities
Yeah.
all the time.
I just don't know that they are.
From an
ISO.
environmental standpoint, an organization I'm at, that we've got the 14,001. That's the environmental.
14,000.
Yeah, and so, they came out and did an audit. Got to be part of the audit, and it's a real heavy paper exercise. They do the audit to make sure that
Yeah.
the things look good, but a lot of it's basically, from my experiences, just on this 14,001 aspect of it was, what are your procedures? And are you doing what you're saying you're doing? And show us, how do you prove to us that you're doing what you're
So
saying
it's
you're doing?
kind of like an auditing tool.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
just audit you and go, are you doing some safety stuff?
It's like
Yeah.
OSHA's voluntary
cool.
protection program.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to come in and they're going to ask a billion questions, and if you answer them all right and have the paperwork to prove you're doing everything you're saying you're doing, they'll give you a special status.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
that's better than nothing, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you're obviously
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna
it's
get
cool.
accredited if
Yeah.
you're doing
It's
zero.
almost kind of like the is it the VPP program?
Yeah,
It's kind of
Yes.
kind
I
of
want
similar
your
to that.
yeah,
me too, and I'm
voluntary
trying to-
protection program.
Yep.
trying to run through all of the names
Yeah,
of these programs.
the
'cause,
voluntary protection
I'm sure we've
program.
got plenty of these.
Oh, exactly.
Of our thousands of listeners. Because we went from
Or
a
tens
handful-
of listeners.
Yes.
Yes.
No, our thousand. Yes.
Oh, now it's gonna be thousands
Thousands,
because
for
I'm
sure.
on.
Yes,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
gone up.
Yeah. Right.
So
But somebody's got to be using something goofy out there, and I bet they're waiting. They're like, well, I really want help with this one. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to go through all of them.
couple questions on positive and negative reinforcement as it relates to safety culture. Let's just start with enforcement, the bad part, like safety write-ups, safety disciplinary action, terminations for safety violations, sending people home 3 days without pay, enforcing safety. Do you see, what's the pros and cons in your experience on promoting a culture of safety?
The organizations I've worked with that have done it well has done more of a HR involvement and not having anything administered from a safety standpoint.
That's always nice.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
always nice.
yeah.
I mean, but
Doesn't always happen, but-
puppies and penguins, not everybody's lair. So you got to be able to have. Where I run into the most, the challenging with people not doing is construction, because
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
the evolution of new people coming in, the turnover, and all that. In manufacturing setting, most everybody does a pretty good job that I've run into.
Okay.
You'll have some people, they'll get a warning, or they'll do a write up, but after that, it kind of has gone away. Very rarely have I been at a place where they've actually had to go like 3 strikes.
Oh, wow.
and
Term
off.
someone for safety.
Yeah, but where it has been is where someone went out and took a bolt cutter and cut off some locks, a lockout
Right.
take without going through the protocol of how to handle that. And of course, that person, got sent home, and then they actually got demoted from a foreman
Wow.
down to, so they
That's a
got
kick in the
demoted
teeth, man.
down, and I
So
was
not fired, but
Demoted.
suspended and demoted.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And then how'd that affect the culture?
Oh, it got everybody's attention because it was a long-term employee who'd been there 20 years, good foreman,
Until
really
he cut
smart.
locks off.
But yeah, he was. But he was one of those guys. I think I kind of talked about a minute ago. The passionate and the really, I'm going to go after and get it, and I'm going to go do this. And
Right.
one of those deals. One of those guys that gets things done. He's like the cowboy. I'm going to get things done, and I'm going to
Get her done.
Get out of my way. Where if he would have just taken a step back and looked at the procedure, because we had developed the procedure probably within the year prior to that. If you'd just gone down and said, all right, I got to make these calls first, and there was
Right.
nothing pressing about undoing the lockout takeout.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that was on that aspect, but that was still a management leadership thing.
Right.
So that aspect of your question, it got handled okay, but it's challenging, especially in the construction side, when it's always with guys, new people every day, or new
I'm
turnover.
going to go back to that example because that's kind of what I'm after. So you guys actually enforce safety,
Yeah.
and you said it got everybody's attention. But do you think it got people to actually follow safety rules, or do you think it pushed people away from safety rules where they hated safety even more?
I don't know if it even did much of anything outside
that's
of
too bad.
outside of holy crap, they just demoted so and so, and I think they probably correlated it more to lockout tagout.
Well, that's
So,
still
it-
safety.
yeah, I mean,
you
still
know,
safety.
I
But anything, I think it was the message was clear. Is like, I ain't touching any locks that aren't mine, and until I verify.
I think that's a win.
That's
to
a-
me.
I would say that's
a
It
win.
got everybody's attention.
I guess
and,
yeah.
and they
you look at it from that point.
focused on safety more because some people will not do anything unless there's that negative consequence because they could care less about the little scratch tickets you give them or the little coin you give them.
Yep.
Right.
They could care less. But that good foreman got demoted.
Yeah.
Okay, they actually really do care about safety here. I'm going to do it not because I agree with it or think that it's important, but because I don't want to get demoted.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I was at the same organization. They had a couple of the guys like we talked about earlier that, totally were in leadership positions that totally eroded and just kind of was always a roadblock for anything you ever wanted to do on safety. So there was a balance, right? This guy went out and actually cut a lock
Right.
and violated procedure or violated the expectation. But then you got, a couple other people over here that are part of the leadership team always undermine and they don't do anything about that. So, I mean, there's kind of it's a challenge while they're not doing anything specific to just kind of catch everybody's attention. There's just always a roadblock at every turn. And, while they're very drastic differences between those two examples, I think the other two people are just causing as much problems and challenges for the whole site in itself and trying to make progress and help promote and lift safety in the culture. So it's tough.
Now let's shift to positive reinforcement, safety incentive programs.
I had a really good one, actually. I've been
On
saving
negative or on positive?
positive.
Okay.
I don't.
A negative safety program, is that what you said?
Yes.
So how have you guys seen any effect on helping create or maintain a safety culture from positive reinforcement?
So I had this one. I've been working this new program for almost a year, and I can't say that I've seen it do wonders. But now I did have a foreman from one of the companies I've been doing with. He actually called me and told me that it totally changed this kid. So what I do is I do a lot of job site inspections for this company, and every time I do, as long as nobody's breaking any of the rules, they get a poker card. But they got to call me to come do an inspection. And so I give everybody a playing card as long as nobody's
just a
breaking
playing
the rules.
card.
Just a playing card.
Okay.
And I write down who gets what. You know, you got the ace of diamonds. You
got
got a
one
two of
deck?
spades. Oh no, I just keep buying them. So
Okay.
it's huge. It's company wide. Everybody's pulling cards. First 6 months, one of the guys won a bunch of money. Another guy won a smaller amount, and another guy.
How do you win? You gotta have a good hand, like poker.
Exactly. So
So you want to get multiple cards.
you got to get 5 cards in 6 months.
And how do you get the cards?
You got to call me up. I'll come and do a job site inspection.
So they gotta call you to get an inspection.
Yep. So now they're
Do they get the
participating.
card if the inspection goes good or bad?
No, they only get a card as long as I don't find them doing anything wrong.
Wow, that's
They're not just all standing in the construction trailer waiting for you, are they?
Right? No, they gotta be working. So they gotta
gotta be
walk me
working,
through
okay.
What they're doing and stuff.
So
Well,
they got to call you, which already I like this because getting the person who knows where everybody's at to
Yeah.
always tell you,
Yep.
that's tough. So to have them where they know where they're at and going to be to call you and ask you to come.
So we're
that's
working
nice.
That's pretty
downtown,
cool.
and one of the groups, he calls me and he says, "Hey AJ, we really want to get our cards in today." They're trying to get one inspection every month. 'Cause
Okay.
we do it for 6 months, and they can get up to 7 cards, turn in their best hand of 5. So they're like, we want to get at least one every month, and then maybe in December we'll do 2, or maybe if we're having a really good month here and we're not.
Can I
working
call
too
you
bad.
every day at the same site and get 5, like right off the
Not
bat?
every day.
Okay.
But they
I
they
mean,
could
like-
call me up to twice
Like
a
Monday,
week.
Tuesday. Okay,
Yeah.
only twice a week.
They could, yeah. So I go in, I'm walking through a young kid, awesome dude. He's actually a really good guy. But when I happened to be walking through the job site inspecting for the foreman, he was standing on the tippy top of his ladder.
Okay, A-frame
Yep.
on the cap.
So he got his verbal warning for the day. He knew he was breaking rules. He was in trouble. He signed his paperwork.
So
he
they
felt
didn't get the card.
he didn't
either.
get a card either. So not only did he get in trouble, but he missed out on
Does
getting his
everybody
card.
get a card?
Yeah, everybody gets a
everybody
card.
that's on that site. It's not just the foreman.
Not just
it's
the
not
foreman,
for
every
the
single
hand for the
employee.
crew.
Yeah,
okay.
it's all individual.
All right.
Like they can call me even if the foreman's not there that day.
Okay.
They can say, "Hey, Age, we're over at
Which
this
even
job
be
site."
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had it happen.
Heck
well,
yeah.
so what was really neat, what made me go, "Wow, this is actually like it did something once." I'm pretty good with this foreman. He's a good dude. He really likes what I'm working on, and he called me up. This was 2 weeks ago, right before we did our electrical class.
Okay.
So that Friday before we're leaving, he's like, "Hey, I just want to give you a call. I was up on 5th floor working with that kid who just got his verbal, and I was going to go do the exact same thing he was going to do. I was actually going to go stand up on the top of the ladder." And he was like, "Hey, wait a second. I got a 10-footer down on 3rd. I'm going to go get you that ladder real quick."
Nice.
And he
Real
just straight
nice.
up told his foreman to hang on, let him go get the right size ladder.
That's
And he
almost
was
never
Nice.
happened before.
just boom. And I'm like, I was blown away. I was like, wow, really? Like, that really happened? Not
That's-
just buttering me up? He was like, no,
Yeah.
that's what really just went down.
That's a combo though of the positive and negative because he did get written up for
He
it.
did get written up, but he was also the
but
only one who
he
didn't
only,
get rewarded.
you were only there because of an incentive program.
Because of the
So
incentive
that's kind of a combo one. But
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
cool. Whatever it took, that guy got that message, and he even told the line.
Like, he's looking out
afterwards.
not just for himself now. Like,
Right.
he actually told his boss,
Yeah.
I'm going to go get you a bigger ladder.
And willing
Yeah.
to speak up. I mean
That would-
that's
yeah.
huge.
That's
I mean,
nice.
you get
Yeah.
someone speaking up saying, "Hey, hold on."
Yeah, he was super impressed. He was like, wow. He's like, this kid. He's like, that's great. So, yeah, it just, for me, that was awesome.
Yeah. Totally.
I haven't had great stories, experiences where positive or incentive programs have just revamped someone. I mean, we had a client that they could give you incentive points for certain safety things,
Mm-hmm.
not for not getting hurt, but you get caught following the procedure, you get caught wearing your right PPE.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
you got like a
and you got these dollars that you could buy a shirt or a bag with that company
Oh,
logo on
hooray.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was an
I got
incentive
another work
program.
shirt.
Yeah, it could be a nice one. There was a lot of different things to choose from, and it could have been
These are actually super nice
some
work shirts.
kickback stuff like a folding camping chair. There was quite a few things on there, and people liked them to get those bucks.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't see it. I was there before the program, during the program, after the program, and I didn't see like
It
a
didn't.
drastic improvement.
No.
It was like a nice thing. But
Yeah.
how about you, Mike? You ever seen any incentive program, positive reinforcement really kill it?
No. I mean, usually the ones I've ever seen are a flop. I mean, I think, I think there's good intentions behind most of the ones, I think, their leadership wants to do something, and they gravitate towards safety and hope that they can leverage something towards safety and reward people. But it's just so tough, because if you start something and you get going for a few years, and then you realize this thing's not going to work out, and then you try to take it away, and then everybody's so used to it.
Right.
It's just it's a vicious wheel, safety incentives, and I don't know if even larger companies I work with, they really didn't have any type of safety incentive program. They had it based in maybe like performance reviews and stuff like that, where they'd actually build in individuals, kind of their profile, and do a review, and hey, this is what do you have any safety issues? That's kind of like their box, and so they could get dinged on a review. But but in construction, you really don't do performance reviews, and small organizations usually don't do performance reviews. Right. They just hey, you work, you do a good job, fine, whatever. Or if you don't, but I think there's been some stuff of they'd have like luncheons. We did and they'd try to break it down maybe by like quarterly. Hey, let's just we have some significant events coming up here in the next quarter. And if things go well, they didn't really publicize it, but then after it got done and it went well and it was safe and all that, they would do like a recognition and bring in some of the street trucks. We did that out at CF. They brought in street trucks for the couple of the shifts, and they fed them food and all that. So I think on an aspect like that, not necessarily saying it's a safety incentive, but doing things throughout the year, kind of a pat on the back, or if you have an opportunity to recognize, if you could partner, safety and something else together, I always thought was a great idea, is partnering two things, because that's just not all safety, and it's could be, I don't know, whatever the organization does on a regular basis, but is there a shutdown that they had and they got through it safely, and they were able to control costs and they completed it within the 3-week time frame that they were down. All right, let's have a recognition, because everybody worked their butt off for 3 weeks, and let's have let's get them sweatshirts, and then let's have a luncheon.
Right. I guess as you told that story, I am reminded of, I guess it's an incentive program where I did see it change. This one company wanted to change the safety culture.
Okay.
So they said money talks, right?
Okay.
So they said, there was a company where they got end of year bonuses, kind of like you were talking before,
all right.
And so the new policy was, if you have so many safety disciplinary action write-ups, and if you miss so many toolbox talks, you did not get your bonus, or it was dramatically less.
Oh, wow. Man.
So they formed the program, they formed the policy, they sent it out to everybody. Everybody got educated on it. I was working there at the time as safety, and I remember all of a sudden I'm getting the rosters from the toolbox talks from every foreman.
Just flooding
when I was only getting them for 2 or 3 foremen out of 10.
Now it's like everybody.
Just the guys that were already decent at paperwork.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I'm getting them all, and I create a spreadsheet and track it. But then, you were talking about writing the guy up, signing it, documenting the verbal.
Yep.
That also became more difficult for me.
Well, yeah.
Because they didn't really care before.
Right.
Because they weren't going to get fired. They were a good producer. They didn't care what my little piece of paper said. But now
it's like
during that end of the year review,
when
we're seeing who gets the raise or the bonus, not the raise, then, look, there's 3 of these in the file. He doesn't get it.
Ooh.
So now they were like arguing and negotiating with me and making excuses. And I'm like,
start getting toward that
it's hard to
third
make
one.
excuse when I catch you 20 feet in the air with no fall protection. There's nothing really you could say to me at that point. You're in a boom lift with an anchor point, and you have a harness and a lanyard that fits.
Driving by on
and you're trained.
front loader on their phone.
Yeah, so, but I did see overnight.
It's just like that.
Everybody cared about safety.
Boom.
Yeah, when you start hitting the pocketbook, it'll get their attention.
Right.
But it's got to be the right dollar figure, because there's a balance of, if it was like a couple $100, there's some people that are like, whatever.
Yeah, I don't
forget
care.
that. Yeah,
exactly.
But so how you structure that and how you can craft that, is tricky, and
Yeah.
if you can get the right eye catch of, oh man, I don't want to miss out on that because
Right.
I'm used to getting this bonus every year, and now I'm not going to get it. And how am I
Right.
going to explain that to my wife and a few other things?
Some final questions for you because we're wrapping up here. Have you worked in a position where you had a direct line with the big dogs, the COO, the CFO, the CEO, like, or the general manager, like people who would actually be the boss of the plant? Have you worked in those positions?
Oh, yeah.
So, do you have any tips on how to talk to those people?
Oh, jeez.
How to sell safety, how to get the safety message to them, because you talked about when the GM is passionate, boom, it's like
Yeah.
gravy.
Yeah.
But when the GM's not, like, how do you communicate to that non-passionate person, we need to be doing this and being serious about it?
Yeah.
You got any words of wisdom on that?
What I've learned is obviously show the passion yourself. And when you're trying to, move that needle in that group, there's some people that like to just go in with this huge program. We're going to do all this stuff. And
Right.
and the GM or whoever's in charge is like, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot. I mean, people need to do it. So
don't go in
do
overwhelmingly.
not, I mean, your safety. I mean, we're safety professionals. We want to go all in. But
Right.
you got to try to figure out, internally, what I've done is kind of looked at, all right, in the next couple of years, what are some things I think we can accomplish or do to kind of help move the needle, and try to break it down into small, little 5-yard gains.
Okay.
Instead of a baseball term, instead of going for a home run, hit a single.
Right,
Let's
right.
get some.
Let's get on base first.
Yeah, let's get some singles,
Something
and
manageable.
then once you start doing that, you can kind of get things rolling. And another key thing is, depending on the GM and leader, is trying to figure out before you engage them, kind of where have they been before? Where have they led before? Have they been at a plant? Or were they in sales? Just what level of safety do they understand? So trying to get a little bit more background on them and what their history is. And then just being honest. I'm a pretty practical safety professional. I'm pretty easygoing. It's like, yeah, this will move the needle, but be honest with me, like, no, this isn't going to work. So
Right.
try little nibbles at a time and kind of get things moving. But I know there's some safety professionals out there. They just want to go in and throw. Well, we want Scott Geller or whatever these guys' names come in, and we want to drop $50,000, and we want to do a survey. It's going to take 6 months, and then we want to
yeah.
assess that. And
my.
I've been at an organization that did that. They had a GM, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do a survey. We're going to do a perception survey. It took 6 months to get it. And then we got the report, and they didn't like what the report said. I mean, they interviewed, like 200 people, and the results were kind of like went pushed to the side. It's like, well, we just spent like 40, 50 grand on this.
my
What do we
gosh.
do? And it was like it exposed some things that they weren't too excited about. I was like, well, all right. And I'm like, what's going on? Are we going to do anything about
Why
that?
do we invest in this?
And then, so,
rough.
no, we'll focus it on next year. We'll put some stuff in the budget. And then, of course, it kind of moves along. But,
Right.
I think my thought is, try to just get some wins, get some small
Keep it
wins.
manageable.
Yeah, keep it manageable. Exactly.
Baby steps, what we say.
Exactly. So hopefully that kind of lines out with, kind of curious on my approach is just try to, get some small wins, because if you can build those small wins, it gives you a little bit more credibility. It gets you some.
Yeah.
And, I recognize when I go into places, everything's not perfect.
Right.
And so it's like, I can't do it. I mean, I can't help lead everything to change overnight.
Right.
And you got to kind of pick by risk and what's important and what's not. Or, everything's important, but there's some stuff, well, we can wait a little bit on that. But let's focus on this now. And if you can kind of work through that with leadership, I think you're going to be a little bit more successful.
I like that. That's a good approach. And patience, because if you got to have everything changed tomorrow, you're not going to make it there.
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
gotta-
yeah. Even some of the best
Long
organizations out there, the ones that said they're world class,
Yeah.
they're always working on stuff. They're not world class. And so,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
a long-term
It's
game.
a long-term gig. And so, trying to get the basics, the blocking and tackling, and getting those in the right spot, I think you're going to be successful.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, we've hit our hour mark. I
is.
super appreciate you coming and talking to us for an hour and 4 minutes
Wow.
on safety. We hit that hour
Evil
mark,
safety
and we
dudes.
That's right.
yeah. It goes by fast. The listeners like, it's been like 20 years, and we're like, it went by fast.
That's 20 years of safety.
No, man, we appreciate Mike coming in and giving us some wisdom.
For sure.
And
This was great. Really appreciate it. This is my first podcast.
Awesome,
there you go.
man.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, not too bad. is
yeah,
it?
not too bad.
No, he's
All
got
right.
the bug now.
Now I
Yeah.
got the bug. I'm
He's
gonna
gonna
be
be at
I'm gonna be
home
like, can I
just
be on next week?
making
Yeah,
I
let's
got
do
a new
it.
topic.
Let's do it. Let's
Heck
do
yeah,
it.
we'll have you back.
We got to drop a new one every Monday. So
Every new one.
we-
You just need to have, Dr. Evil. When you say evil safety, I
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
Dr. Evil petting the cat.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we need to
Start
get
practicing my
I'm
Dr.
sure
Evil.
We need to
I'm
give him a
sure
stuffed
AJ
cat
could
that he
pull
pets.
off that voice.
There you go. I'll have
Yeah.
to go watch some Austin Powers.
We have had people say we want to see you guys.
Ooh, man.
So we're not ready to do that.
Yeah, I was
We'd have,
gonna
to,
say.
we'd have to
Eventually
spice
we'll-
up the fourth,
Yeah, yeah.
You want to lose viewers, did you?
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
Radio's nice.
we'll put AJ on it. He'd be the
Yeah.
cover
Right.
cover boy.
I'll be the poster boy.
I have a face built for podcasts.
That's right. Radio.
All right, guys. Well, for Mr. AJ Hanscom, I'm Aaron Icino. Together we are the Evil Safety Dudes. Stay safe out there.